Well, we're closing out the month of March, and it seems like now 2 months after Nancy Guthrie went missing, we have almost no answers and just a slew of new questions. Reporting over the last day has included speculation about the ransom notes, an apology letter, that the back door was unlocked and the perpetrators got in that way. We've heard about there being an immaculate scene inside. There's just so much going on that we're going to get into tonight. So much speculation. And speaking of speculation, I was talking with Kimberly a little bit earlier today. Kimberly, by the way, is my snuggly bear, my sweetie pie, my one and only, my wife of more than 26 years. Uh, I might want to get on the ground in Tucson. I might want to do that. Not sure what you guys think of that. Wouldn't mind hearing your comments about me, Gavin Fish, local reporter, hopping on a plane, grabbing a hotel and a rental car, and seeing what I can find out on the ground there in Tucson. Uh, oof. Plus, we're going to get into three questions. We are going to talk a little bit about the Barry Morphew case, the Joseph Duggar case. Oh, that is an ugly one. And we're going to, in rare form for me, get a little bit into the Charlie Kirk assassination and the court case surrounding that. So there's a lot to cover. Stick around. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. When you investigate crime, you learn something important. Every strand tells a story. Some stories fall apart under pressure, but great hair holds up under questioning. That's why I trust Lullaby. Because great hair never pleads the fifth. Lullaby, when the evidence is in your favor. Hello there, my friend. Welcome back to another true crime conversation with me, Gavin Fish. Boy, I'm grateful that you would join me. I live stream here on YouTube every weeknight, Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And shortly after the live stream ends every night, I upload it as a video podcast to Spotify. So if you are on Spotify, great way to support my work is to follow me over there. And then, of course, it goes all the way out to all the different podcast platforms, so you can listen to this program at your convenience, wherever you get your podcasts. And yeah, I'm seeing a couple of, I'm already seeing some input here. People mostly saying, yeah, go to Arizona. Emmy asking, would I be live from there? Yeah, it would. My idea is I would do a live stream from there, but it would be different. It would be a different format. I wouldn't worry about all of the bells and whistles, all of, all the stuff that goes into producing this show from my home office. It would be more like a man on the ground, boots on the ground, going around trying to figure out and get more information. Yeah, and Sharky, for example, says, if you go to Tucson, I personally support it because I know you will be respectful and kind. Yeah, thank you for that. And that is my idea. Just kind of using the reporter skills that I've honed over the last few years to try to gather new information for us, not to just be another annoyance to the neighborhood there in the Catalina foothills. The issue that I'm going to have, yeah, Chaos Mama saying, go to Tucson. Debbie saying, yes, go to Tucson. Maybe you can meet Brian Enton. Yeah, Brian is somebody I would love to meet. Nikki, good to see you from Bermuda. Glad you're here. Hope says, if you went to Tucson, what would be your goals? Is there any specific information you'd be seeking? Yeah, I would be trying to talk to people who have talked to police, for example. It would probably all be off the record, and I would just report from the ground on kind of background stuff. But yeah, that's the idea. Autumn saying, if you go to Tucson, do you need an assistant? I happen to know, Autumn, that you are busy doing a worthwhile pursuit in your home state. So maybe you should stick around here. Thank you. My wife got me this shirt. Thank you very much. Um, let's see. Starflower says hello from Elliot Sadler's hometown. Yes, you should go to Tucson. That reminds me. I love knowing where you guys are joining me from. So put it in the live stream or put it in the comments, and I will definitely. I just love that. Kentucky Grammy says people are so interested in what happened to Nancy, but people are so sick of the streamers. I would hate to see you get into that mess. Yeah, I would try to be more Brian Enton, less JLR. You know what I mean? More just on the ground, trying to talk to people. Um, giving information and less just buffoonery. Barb says if you go to Tucson, stay away from anywhere. JLR, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't mind meeting him in person. I mean, I think he's got some legal troubles. I believe Magnolia, and I think that she has a case, and he should face a trial on that, or face the court system on that. Let's say. But I wouldn't mind standing in the same area as the guy. It wouldn't bother me. I definitely, in my work as a reporter, I stand and sit and occupy places from all sorts of people all the time, and it's perfectly fine. Okie dokie, guys, what are we talking about? We are talking about Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of three, one of whom being Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie, who was last seen January 31st of this year as she was dropped off at her home by her family after a night of dinner and games over at her daughter and son-in-law's house, as I understand it. And then the next day she didn't show up for church. And that was out of the ordinary for her. And that started a desperate search for Nancy Guthrie, a desperate search. So here we are. What are we? Day 59, day 60, something like that. And it feels like we are no closer to finding out what happened to Nancy Guthrie. Now, but like I said in the open, boy, are there lots of theories. Lots and lots and lots of theories. I want to start off with an article that I read that actually came out last month from WUNC. And then I want to dig into the data about the abduction of the elderly. We've all felt like this isn't something that happens all that often. And the data hold up. Okay. So let's start over here. Come with me over to Adobe Acrobat, where I have prepared this article from WNC written by Bill Chappelle. It is down in a link is down in the description below. Headline reads, "Shocking and Strange. Experts compare Nancy Guthrie's case to other missing persons." I'm not going to read the whole thing, but let's just get into this a little bit. The abduction of Nancy Guthrie is putting a spotlight on the excruciating uncertainty endured by thousands of families whose loved ones go missing each year. Experts see parallels with those cases, even as many details in Guthrie's case are unique, from the victim's age to her celebrity daughter, Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie. And remember, this was written a month and a half ago. The circumstances of Guthrie's disappearance are quite shocking, says Jesse Goliath, a forensic anthropologist at Mississippi State University. Quote, "Usually you hear about smaller children, juveniles that go missing and attracting national press," Goliath says. "But having an older woman who's gone missing and having a daughter that you've seen on TV every day is extraordinary," he adds. More than 500,000 people were reported missing in the U.S. last year, according to the Justice Department. But let me just see what that, yeah. But Tara Kennedy, media representative for the Doe Network, a volunteer group working to identify missing and unidentified persons, says high-profile kidnappings are rare. Quote, I can't remember the last time I heard about a ransom case besides Guthrie, says Kennedy, who has worked with the Doe Network since 2014. Continuing the quote, I always associate them with different periods in American history, like the Lindbergh kidnapping, not someone's mother from the Today Show. Close quote. And that's something that we've all felt, right? This is weird. This is something that happens in the 30s. Both Kennedy and Goliath described the Guthrie case as strange, and then it goes into the why things are unusual. Okay, from June 2020 to June 2025, women comprised more than 75% of the victims in some 240,000 cases of kidnappings or abductions that were reported in the U.S., according to FBI crime data. We are going to go to those, okay? But of those, only 646 women were in their 80s, like Nancy Guthrie, who was 84, or less than 0.2% of all victims. Compare that to the age group that accounted for the largest number of victims that year. Well, not that year, right? It was those years. People 20 to 29 who made up just shy of 30% of victims. Other highly unusual revelations have emerged as her disappearance has persisted, from purported ransom notes sent to media outlets demanding millions of dollars to unsettling images of masked gunmen approaching Guthrie's front door on the night she disappeared. Taken together, it's like something out of a true crime novel. I think that he misspoke there. Out of a crime novel, Goliath says. That's something unheard of. And then, it just keeps on going. So let me bring up the FBI data here. I have that open on my browser here. I put a link to this. This is the FBI's Crime Data Explorer. You can see over here on the left, I've put in kidnapping, abduction as the crime, the location set being the United States and the last 5 years. Okay. So looking at the victim age over here, 20 to 29 is by far the biggest group, then 30 to 39, then 10 to 19, then 40 to 49, 0 to 9, then 50 to 59, 60 to 69, 70 to 79, then comes unknown, and then comes 80 to 89, which is 0%, which we know from the article it's 0.2%, and 90 and older. It just doesn't happen, right? Out of everything. And how many does it say? Out of 247,046 offenses, 646 are for octogenarians, right? United States clearance rate, by the way, on that is 140,000. So that I remember I remember talking about missing persons cases and how they are mostly solved, but this looks more like about half of them get solved. Well, a little more than half, right? Or at least over the last 5 years. Offender age tends to skew young too. 31% are 30 to 39, 30% are 20 to 29. So, under the age of 40 accounts for 61% of offenders. Couple other things that I found really interesting. 64% of victims are abducted from their home, and the biggest category of victim's relationship to offender is boyfriend girlfriend, right? A stranger is only 10%, acquaintance 9%, ex relationship like an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, maybe ex-spouse 8%. In this case, it appears that, at least according to Sheriff Nanos, there's a picture of the good sheriff, Sheriff Nanos. It's not a family member. The family members have all been cleared, according to the sheriff. couple of other things, right? So a handgun being used in the offense. We have seen, of course, from the videos that there is a handgun being used in this offense, worn weirdly, dangling in front of other dangly bits. But a handgun was used in this one, and that only happens about 7% of the time. There's offense linked to other offense: simple assault, aggravated assault, destruction, damage, vandalism of property, robbery. We'll call that SA, right? I would imagine that this one probably. I don't know that it's linked. Well, it's definitely linked to an aggravated assault. I mean, we've got blood on the front doorstep, and we have a gun. I would imagine that is an aggravating factor. But I don't think that this characteristic that they're showing us here tells us that it begins with that crime, just that it also involves that crime. So 23% of the time there's an aggravated assault as part of the deal. So yeah, this is a interesting website, by the way. I suggest anybody who's into crime take a look at the data. You can download the data, and they've got it going way back, right? All the way, 1985, I guess this goes back. So definitely check that out. But going back to the article, right? The article that we were reading, this is shocking and strange that an 84-year-old woman would be kidnapped from her home after an assault with a handgun. It's just strange, and I'm starting to believe that maybe the assaulters didn't realize just how fragile their victim is, or was. I hope is, but probably was. I mean, I saw a case recently. Well, it was in the news recently, but the case happened 5 years ago of a guy attacking an 85-year-old man in San Francisco, I think it was, and the man fell down and it caused his death. He died. You know, I've also seen ones where what would we call them? Shoplifters running out of like a Walmart or a Target, trying to be intercepted by the greeter who is in their 70s or 80s, being knocked over, and eventually, they lose their life over the fall. So I wonder if the perpetrator or perpetrators, I think it's perpetrators, understood just how fragile their victim was. Did they take her thinking we're going to get a ransom here and have her die early on, and then not be able to not like be panicked and everything like that? And that reminds me of the next article that I want to bring to you guys. This from the Sunday Guardian, written by Nisha Srivastava. Nancy Guthrie case latest update: are ransom notes fake? Apology letter theory adds twist. I'm adding in here, this is a theory, right? This is all it is a theory at this point. But we did learn from Savannah Guthrie that she thought that at least 2 of the ransom letters were real in her interview on NBC. So, of course, she said the others, those people need to take a good hard look at their lives. Why would they add extra pain to a victim's family? But let's get into Nisha's story. The search for Nancy Guthrie, who has been missing since January 31st, has now continued for over 2 months. Well, it's March 31st, so Nisha, it is exactly 2 months. As the investigation progresses, new speculation has surfaced suggesting that a second alleged ransom note could actually be an apology letter claiming the 84-year-old has died. Authorities are still actively working the case, examining every possible lead. What sparked the latest speculation? The recent claims gained attention during the March 28th episode of The Megyn Kelly Show, where Megyn Kelly spoke with former FBI Supervisory Special Agent James Hamilton and investigator Maureen O'Connell. Kelly referred to a social media post which reportedly stated, quote, "I now have two sources confirming that one of the letters sent to the media in the Nancy Guthrie case allegedly states the sender apologized, claiming they did not know how serious her heart condition was and that she has gone to be with God." Despite these claims, former FBI official James Hamilton raised doubts about whether the ransom notes are genuine. He suggested that such messages could be part of a scam targeting vulnerable families. This is important. Guys, the Nancy Guthrie case is an extreme example, right? It's an extreme example. But this is a vulnerable segment of our population, our elderly, our parents, our grandparents. This is a vulnerable segment of society, and we need to think in terms of protecting them from terrible people. Oh my goodness, terrible, terrible people, not just from like what happened in this case, which is again the extreme and horrible, horrifying, right? But we also, I mean, there are horrible. Hey, Javi, can you think of another synonym for me besides horrible? I think I've used that word like 19 times in a row. I don't know. There are just terrible people out there, nefarious people that are willing to do things that are beyond the pale in order to prey upon vulnerable families. And we need to remember to protect our loved ones. Okay, quote from Mr. Hamilton. "All I'm hearing, Megyn, is what scam artists do. They prey upon grief. They prey upon your vulnerability," he said. "They're saying anything they can to get paid. It really doesn't move the needle a lot for me." And then it goes into, you know, the history of what happened in the case, which we've all covered. But I'm curious what you guys have heard, what you guys think, what your theories are. We're going to go into speculation mode here just a little bit. Hey, Javi, can you flip the speculation toggle? We're going to go into speculation mode. It's right next to plaid. Awesome. Thanks, Javi. Let's get over to, I'm going to bring up another picture of Nancy, and let's see what y'all are saying over here. Wait a minute. I have not heard this, that they have found her pacemaker. Let me pause here for a second. Let's pause from our regularly scheduled programming. I don't think that, I haven't heard that at all. As of, yeah, they have not. I don't think they have located her pacemaker. No. Remember, they were using a signal sniffer to detect its Bluetooth emissions, but I do not think that they have found it. But there were I guess people reporting on Facebook like a month ago that her pacemaker had been discovered. But it doesn't appear to be true. Does not appear to be true. So yeah. Yeah, Jody saying no, they haven't found the pacemaker. They have not, guys. They haven't found the pacemaker. Well, you know, when you hear news like that, when you go, "Oh, I saw on Facebook that they found the pacemaker," this is another type of scam behavior where they're just looking for clicks, and they create these posts that look absolutely newsworthy, right? I mean, the one that I'm looking at just looks so amazingly newsworthy. And it comes from a page that has 78,000 followers, but it's from a musician or a band. Crying out loud. Like these posts are just designed to get people to click and comment on them. Please don't fall for that stuff. Say to yourself, put on your hat, put on your skeptical hat. Mine's a bowler. You can see my skeptical hat right there. Put on your skepticism hat and go, well, let me look into this further and see if any news organizations are reporting the same thing. In this case, they aren't. So, yeah. Let's see. Sherry says, I'm late to answer, but yes, I support you going to Tucson for a few days. Brian Enton said you can't really understand the area unless you see it with your own eyes. Okay, back to catching up. Sherry, thank you very much for chiming in. I appreciate it. Jeremy saying, love your channel. Gavin, glad to catch you live. I'm glad you're here too. Heinous. Scotch's mom, that's a good synonym. I should have a board. Of course, if I put it in front of me, that would block the window to Wanda's sound booth. But I should have, maybe over here, I could have a board of synonyms that I could choose from. Or maybe I could have like a Wheelo synonym that would help me choose that. Let's see if anything else is coming in that you guys want me to check in. You guys are all checking in from all sorts of different places. The Buckeye State is in the house. San Jose is here. Virginia's here. Montana is here. Colorado is here. Hi from the city that keeps it weird in Texas is here. Upstate New York. All the Great Lakes State is in the house. I would say Michigan. Is Michigan the Great Lakes State? Palm Beach County, Florida is here. More people saying, go to Tucson, go to Tucson. Jacksonville, Florida, upstate New York. Thank you guys for checking in. BC is in the house. Hi from the town that has the Earl Scruggs Museum. Awesome. I'm trying to, oh no, I was thinking of Boz Scaggs. Different artist, both recording artists. County Meath, Republic of Ireland is here. Ottawa, Ontario is here. Seattle, Washington is here. Clearwater, Florida. Knoxville, Tennessee. Guys, thank you very much for checking in with where you are from. Okay, I prepared a, let's see where we are. Okay, let's go to the corrupted scene. I made a little agenda for me. Let's move on to the whole corrupted scene reporting. This actually is a couple days old, but I just saw it. I thought I would bring it to you. Written by Adiola Adiolson. Adiola Adiolson. Man, remember the name? Remember the name change question the other day? If you could change your name, what would it be? Something like that. Adiola Adiolson. That might be at the top of my list. It's pretty awesome. Okay, written in Newsweek. Nearly 2 months after Nancy Guthrie vanished from her Tucson, Arizona area home, a former Pima County sheriff is accusing current Sheriff Chris Nanos of mishandling the crime scene as Nanos simultaneously faces a no-confidence vote, a recall effort, and scrutiny over his disciplinary past. Newsweek reached out to Nanos via an email to the Sheriff's Department on Saturday for comment. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. What to know? In a Friday interview with News Nation's Brian Enton, Dr. Richard Carmona, a former U.S. Surgeon General and former Pima County Sheriff, told senior national correspondent Brian Enton that Nanos made a fundamental error by personally announcing the reopening of the crime scene at Nancy Guthrie's Catalina Foothills home. Quote, that's not something the sheriff does, Carmona said. It's the lead detective that's out there says we can open this area now because we have made this determination that all the evidence necessary has been photographed, bag tagged, and so on. Carmona also pointed to a February incident in which a Domino's delivery driver, fulfilling an order placed by a viewer for an independent journalist at the scene, that has JLR written on it, right? Was that JLR? Oh my goodness. walked across Guthrie's front lawn and up to the front door during an active investigation. Deputies on scene did not intervene. Quote, if you're going to court and you're making a case, a defense attorney says that crime scene was corrupted. You had people delivering pizzas, Carmona said. How do we know this is real evidence? He was unsparing on the question of reconstituting the scene after the fact. Quote, once it has been corrupted, that's the end of it, he said. You have not maintained the integrity of that space. He added, the public has to have trust in its law enforcement agency. You cannot lead without trust. And when you have a sheriff that has to keep correcting himself and changing his story every day, the public loses faith in you. And of course, it goes on and talks more about that. And I completely agree with Mr. Carmona, the former deputy sheriff, former U.S. Surgeon General. It was a clown show. It was a circus, an absolute circus. But there was one other thing. Let's see. In News Nation, let me transition to this one. I don't think we need transition music on this one, Wanda. A report from Steph Whiteside talking about the condition of the house, saying the home showed no sign of assault, according to a source, right? Now, it is felt to me during this whole thing that when Annie and Tommaso got to the house, it looked like, hey, there has been a crime here. But according to Steph's source, let's see what she says. When family members discovered Nancy Guthrie was missing, her home was in order and described as immaculate, a source told News Nation. Okay, now that's just the lead, but I'm gonna put on my professional quibbler hat here. I actually don't have a hat for it, but I have music.
Professional quibbler here.
Yes. Okay. Look, if a crime happened at my parents' home, heaven forbid, and my mom was missing, or my parents were missing, or something like that, I could simultaneously describe that house as a crime scene and immaculate, because that's the way the house is kept. And I cannot imagine that my parents in their late 70s, and I hate thinking about stuff like this, but I mean, in order to be sympathetic and empathetic to the Guthrie family and to victims of crime, we have to put ourselves in their position. But I can't imagine that my parents would put up a big old struggle that would cause, furniture to tip over, things to fall off the wall. Nancy Guthrie is an elderly person. She was in bed, right? She would be subdued easily. Perhaps she is just the kind of person that keeps an immaculate house, right? Okay, so that's quibble. But the 84-year-old mother, blah, 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 we heard about that. An insider in the law enforcement community told News Nation that there were no signs of an assault inside the home, and the house was clean, with some rooms being described as immaculate. Again. Oh my goodness. And that's it? That is the entire gist of the story. The rest of it is filler and background. A source said the house was immaculate, and a source said there were no signs of assault inside the home and the house was clean. However, we have also heard that there is... Come on, man. I don't like this report. Okay, I don't like this reporting. Wanda, I need to calm down. Whew. Do you have anything that would maybe make my mood better, Wanda? Yeah, do that one.
Here we go again. On to something new. Don't you change the channel. We've got more for you.
Wanda, was that you singing? For a woman of your age, your voice sounds surprisingly youthful. That felt like a TV anthem. That was very good. That did bring me back to my childhood. So I'm feeling happier. Thank you for that. Yeah, I hate this kind of story. I like, no shade to Steph. I'm sure she was given her assignment, and the assignment was, hey, this source says that the house was immaculate. There was no sign of an assault. See if you can write 350 words. I've been in that position. But that is the dumbest assignment. I'm not calling Steph dumb. I'm calling her editor dumb. They're just looking to have content up there. It was so stupid. Oh, so stupid. And this is where we are in this case, right? This is where we are in the case of Nancy Guthrie, where we just have nothing else to talk about. Now I am reconsidering my life's choices. Ah, goodness. I am reconsidering everything. Everybody, do I go to Tucson? Do I not go to Tucson? I do. I really enjoy investigating. That's the thing that I miss about the way my channel was before I started live streaming. I loved the digging in and the investigative work. And so this whole idea of going, hey, I'm going to go investigate something, that sounds fun to me. But anyway, okay. Dumbest article, Steph, not you. You wrote it well. Dumbest assignment ever. Okay. The last thing that I want to talk about as far as what the media is reporting in this case is again from Newsweek. It is written by Julia Carbonaro. And here is the article. Nancy Guthrie update. Ex-officer shares theory on open back doors. Now, before I totally get into this, let's bring up this clip. Let's revisit this clip. Gavin needs to, there we go. It's about we're not going to play the whole clip. The whole clip is like 2 minutes, 40 seconds. I think maybe about a minute of it. This is from Savannah Guthrie's interview with Hoda Kotb. And she brings up the back doors, okay?
You saw Annie and Cam when you got to their house. Tell me about that moment.
Just disbelief and hugging each other.
Yeah.
And I think we were on the phone with the sheriff and trying to, really make clear from the very early moments, Annie and Tommy were saying this isn't that case that
Right.
you are used to where someone wanders off. She can't wander off. My mom,
Okay, wait a minute. That might be an indication that there wasn't a like an obvious crime scene, that maybe the sheriff's office is like, oh, she wandered off. No, she wouldn't have wandered off. So maybe that is supportive of Steph's article that I think is the world's worst editorial decision to assign that to a reporter, because crying out loud, you pick up an 84-year-old woman out of her bed and go. Come on. Plus, there's freaking blood on the doorway. Come on. Okay, let's continue.
she was in tremendous pain.
Yeah.
Her back was very bad. She was trying to, on a good day, she could walk down to the mailbox and get the mail, but most days not. So there was no wander off. And the doors were propped open.
Yeah.
And there was blood on the front doorstep.
Okay, and the doors were propped open. Now, I should have gotten them ready for you guys, but there are pictures online of, drone footage of the property, and there are doors on the back. It looks like they're like to the garage. There's a man door in the back. It looks like there might be two doors going into the house on the back, one in the kitchen, one in the rest of the house. There's a back door to the casita, but they're not like sliding glass doors. They're opening doors. And Ashley Banfield reported, I saw a report from last night saying that her source, course, caveat, we don't know that this is true, but the source said that, they used flower pots or something like that. And it appears that maybe one of those doors was like had a screen door on the outside, so one door that swings in, one door that swings out, and that maybe both of them were propped open. Maybe just the screen door was propped open and the inside door stays open if it's opened, that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's the reporting, and that's what's being talked about in this News Nation piece from Julia Carbonaro. As the search for Nancy Guthrie continues 8 weeks after she vanished without a trace, as her daughter, Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie, said during an interview last week, experts and former officers are still looking into the scene of her disappearance for clues. Among them is former Pima County SWAT Commander Bob Krieger, who recently commented on revelations made by the Today Show host that the back doors of her 84-year-old mother's home were propped open when the family first went looking for her. Quote, "For me, it's a quick way in and a quick way out," Krieger told News Nation reporter Brian Enton in an interview for his show, Brian Enton Investigates. Quote, "Just one less thing you have to think about, opening the door, you don't want it closing behind you, and maybe automatically locking and you not knowing how to unlock it and get out," he added. "It's a time thing." Let's see, bunch of things that we know about it, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if there's anything else. Let's see, quote, "We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back, but her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things," said Savannah Guthrie, and it just didn't make any sense. She said that considering her mother's poor health, there was no way that the 84-year-old woman had propped the doors open and wandered off. So investigators searching for the missing woman have not commented on the back doors of her home being propped open, a detail that was revealed by Savannah Guthrie. They have not commented either on whether there were signs of forced entry at the property. In his interview with Enton, Krieger said he believes that the back doors were left open by the kidnappers. "My theory, my hunch, is that she was probably carried out. They probably restrained her inside some way, and as they left, they just carried her," Krieger suggested, saying that it could have been a one-person job as well as kidnapping involving two suspects. I think at least two. You can't just pick up, guys, I don't care how small the person is. If it's dead weight, if they're unconscious, if they're struggling, that's job. The doors were propped open to make sure the kidnapper or kidnappers did not get lost in the house, Krieger said. The desert terrain around Guthrie's home, however, would have proven difficult to navigate, Krieger said, and that is why bloodstains belonging to the woman were found near the front of the house. You can't even see her house necessarily. There's just so much brush and trees back there, Krieger said. There's no way they're bringing her back this way. If they got there that way, they clearly had to go out the front. If they're propped open, it's clearly for a reason. Quick in, quick out, whichever it was. Now, this has led to online speculation that Nancy Guthrie left her doors unlocked and that the perps knew that the doors were unlocked, and so they went in the back. I haven't seen any evidence, no good investigative reporting, no good, comments from good sources or from law enforcement directly that she left her doors unlocked. Savannah Guthrie, I've watched that entire interview multiple times. She never said anything to my memory about that. So anything saying that she left everything unlocked and that's how they got in is complete speculation. And I'm not saying it's bogus. I'm just saying it is speculation. I haven't seen anything to substantiate that at all. Let's go over to your comments, see what you guys have to say before we move on to the next thing. Hey, Just Ducky is a member for 5 months. Come for Gavin's velvet voice, stay because of the awesome mods. Indeed, I do have the world's awesomest mods. I think I may have missed. There we go. Jude the Tiger, a contribution to your Wheel O symptoms. Thank you very much. I might need to have something that I can spin up there. That is great. It's really good. Let's see what else you guys are saying over here. Loch Nessie Popped in late. Are you discussing the sheriff's complaints that were filed last week and the arrest of an officer in that office? Oh, I wasn't planning on it, but I did see it. In fact, my sister Tiff, who is my admin over in the fish tank on Facebook. If you guys don't know about it, that's where we hang out on Facebook. You just go to my website, click on the little fishy up in the upper right-hand corner. You'll find the fish tank. Yeah, there was a sheriff's deputy that was arrested like recently because, and it just boils me, man. It is the freaking Kevin Mullins case all over again. A sheriff's deputy that was coercing sexual favors from at least one woman who he had in custody and was transporting to jail. Oh, it just makes me so freaking mad. Do you guys know about the Kevin Mullins case? I've covered it at length here, but this guy, Ben Fields, was convicted of the same sort of thing. Guys, that is SA. That's what that is. This Pima County Sheriff's deputy coerced her into like lifting her shirt. Just made me so angry. No, I wasn't going to talk about that, Loch Nessie, but thank you for bringing it up. And yes, there are complaints. There are several things that are happening to Sheriff Nanos right now, including a recall effort. Oh. Glitters Forever asks, hey, Gavin, does Wanda ever take vibe requests? Well, Wanda allows me to just like say, hey, I'll give you an example. Wanda, can you do anything orchestral for us? Yeah, that'd be great. Ooh, I like the plucking of the strings, Wanda. She's playing a double bass. Did I hear a horn there? Wanda, you are amazing. Yeah. Sometimes she has to pull out sheet music, put it out in front of her, and she's got all these instruments to play. She's amazing. Wanda is the best. Let's see. Beach Fairy says the sound bites are funny, but they make this feel less serious, like a game show. Yeah, I just have to. Sometimes I just need music. Sorry, Beach Fairy. Love Gavin followed for how professional and respectful you are. I just don't like the sounds fit. Yeah, I get it. And I'm not for everybody. I totally get it. But sometimes you just need music. You just need it. At least I do. Let's see. Glitters Forever says, Gavin, my dad had a sunroom on his house in the middle of two living sections, and one door stayed open all the time. The other door, storm door, stayed shut and locked all the time. That makes sense. Yeah, as long as, yeah, I get that. And I get that people leave windows open and stuff like that, especially if they're trying to get fresh air and stuff like that. But I don't think that she would have. She's 84. You know, there's something about like as you age, you start to get a little more nervous about things, right? And I don't think that an 84-year-old woman with severe back pain, with heart problems, with heart medication and a pacemaker would leave doors unlocked. Diane is saying, hi from Boston, looking for your lives from Tucson. Whew. I might have to do it. Ohio Pom Mom, I like the sound effects. Yeah, I do too. I'm kind of that way, but I respect Beach Fairy's opinion. Everybody gets to think differently, and that is a beautiful thing about the human condition. Okie dokie. With that, guys, that's what we have on the Nancy Guthrie case. I have some updates on who do I have updates on? Barry Morphew. I have updates on Joseph Duggar and what's going on in the court proceedings happening around the Charlie Kirk assassination. We're going to get to that, but first, let's do 3 questions, shall we?
Questions with
Okay, in this segment, guys, I answer 3 of your questions that come in. I got one today that was many questions. And you can do that. You don't have to just send one question at a time. You can send one question, you can send many questions. I will just answer 3 questions at a time. Send those into 3questions at gavinfish.com. It's spelled out THREE questions at gavinfish.com. I will endeavor my best to answer the questions fully, completely, without hiding, without beating around the bush. I get to choose which ones I answer in what order. I'll answer all of them eventually, I hope, but I get to choose the order. Okay, question number 1 from Rua, a frequent correspondent. What's your favorite tea brand and flavor? Rua, I'm not a tea drinker. It's nothing that I ever got into. When I was in Argentina, sometimes I will drink like an herbal tea, but it's usually like a sleepy time or something like that. I'm really not into it. My wife likes herbal teas. When I was in Argentina, the national tea of Argentina is yerba mate. I had plenty of mate cocido, but it kind of tastes like alfalfa, so it's really not my favorite thing. It's just, there are some things that are comforting to some people, and tea just doesn't do it for me. Not my deal. Great question, and that's a good question that you guys can answer in the comments. Love to know your thoughts on that. Here's another one. What's your favorite board or video game? Okay, the last video game I actually played was Quake 3, which would be what, 25 years ago? So I'm not a video game player. Board games, we do this thing in our family called forced family time. Hey kiddos, what time is it? It's time for forced family time. And we will occasionally play Clue because our son likes Clue. We occasionally will play the board game version of the Oregon Trail. But when it comes to games, it's usually card games for us. We play spoons, or we play, like Uno or Phase 10, stuff like that. We enjoy that. And especially when like the in-laws are over, Kimberly's family gets very competitive, and it rubs off on me. I get very, very competitive too. And so I love a good round, a good long game of Phase 10. I really, really enjoy that. That's good stuff. And then the last question of the day, Diane says, what's the last book you read? Diane, I am not a reader of fiction all that often. I've decided in 2026 to read 6 classics. Kind of figured I needed at least 2 months to read them because I just don't get into fiction all that much. And turns out that I've actually done pretty well. I finished my last book about 2 weeks ago. I have not started the next one, but the 6 books that I want to do, if I remember correctly, are A Tale of Two Cities, Fahrenheit 451, Of Mice and Men, Huck Finn, To Kill a Mockingbird, and Martin Fierro, which is an Argentine epic poem. I have now read A Tale of Two Cities, Of Mice and Men, and the last book that I read was To Kill a Mockingbird. I finished it a couple weeks ago. I absolutely loved it. There is definitely a reason it is the great American novel. I really don't think that there is a novel written that is better, that can even compete. I don't even think there's anything that can compete with To Kill a Mockingbird. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I'm looking forward to beginning Fahrenheit 451. I'm kind of taking breaks in between the books again because I'm really not a fiction reader. I really like nonfiction. I'm not really a how-to kind of a guy. I'm more of a history guy. But yeah, the last book I read was To Kill a Mockingbird, and right now I'm kind of in my Martin Fierro phase. It's kind of hard because it's a Gauchesco poem written more than 100 years ago, and it's written in a style of Spanish that is difficult for me to comprehend, so it takes a while. So I'm kind of doing it in between books. So technically I'm reading Martin Fierro right now, but it's so hard. like reading Cervantes was easier than reading Martin Fierro, but I'm going to get through it. And every once in a while, I just kind of get into the rhythm of it, and it's really fun. But yeah, last book I read, To Kill a Mockingbird, and it was TEERRRIIFFCCC. It was great. And I highly recommend. In fact, I'm really enjoying this whole thing going back to classics, reading books that I was either assigned to read in middle school or high school and didn't want to read, so I couldn't possibly enjoy them, or I did the Cliff's Notes version of them or something like that. I I highly recommend going back and reading some classics. Choose the ones you want to do. Of Mice and Men is a great one because it's written more as a play than it is a novel. You can read it in a day. It's really, really good. So yeah, those guys are 3 questions. Now let's get into some updates on Morphew, on Duggar, on the other cases. It's headlines.
True crime headlines.
Okie dokie. And I just realized there is one article that I didn't open up in Acrobat. Let me get there real quick and make sure that that is open. Yes. Okie dokie. Article number 1, update on the Barry Morphew situation. Daughters of Suzanne Morphew no longer asking the state to release remains. Of course, we saw this coming. But just a quick little update. The daughters of Suzanne Morphew are no longer asking the state to release her remains. Her husband, Barry Morphew, is facing first-degree murder charge in connection to her death. The couple's 2 daughters filed a motion last month to get their mother's remains back. The DA fought that request. Prosecutors argued the body is material evidence. Hearing was scheduled for Monday, but the daughters withdrew their request before the judge could decide. They did not give the reason as to why they withdrew the request. So moving on, Barry Morphew, we expect that to be October that that trial will begin. That might be something I could travel to. We shall see. Okay, and of course that came to us from KOAA, written by James Gavato. From Lauren Silver at courttv.com, Joseph Duggar gets $600,000 bond in Florida. We're not going to say that word case. Panama City, Florida, reality television's Joseph Duggar appeared before a Florida judge on Tuesday morning on charges alleging he inappropriately touched a young girl. That is a very kind and soft way to write that lead, Lauren. Well done. Joseph Duggar, 31, appeared remotely from the Bay County Jail wearing a striped jail uniform and holding a sheet of paper. He pleaded not guilty to a charge of lewd and lascivious behavior and a charge of lewd and lascivious M-word. I don't want to say that. YouTube just doesn't like it when we say that. Duggar signed a form indicating he did not want a public defender appointed for him. Attorney Albert Saline, who appeared on his behalf in court, requested a reasonable bond, saying that his client has no prior criminal history. Quote, he asks to be treated as fairly as anyone else, regardless of his status in the television industry, Saline said, noting that Joseph Duggar's father had come to town to post bail. Joseph Duggar, yeah, they were part of 19 Kids in County, blah, blah, blah. And then there's some information saying about the case that he touched a 9-year-old girl while on vacation in Panama City, Florida. Set the bond at $600,000. Joseph Duggar and his wife Kendra Duggar are also facing unrelated charges in Arkansas. There they are each charged with 4 counts of endangering the welfare of a minor and 4 counts of false imprisonment. Joseph Duggar was arrested on the Florida charges at his Arkansas home and then waived extradition to the Sunshine State. He's got issues, man. And my heart is with the poor little 9-year-old and her family. Okay, last headline I want to bring to you from News Nation, and this is interesting, though I think it's a whole lot of nothing. Written by Jordan Perkins, bullet in autopsy may not match rifle allegedly used by Tyler Robinson, court docs claim. Tyler Robinson, of course, accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk. And I'm gonna read a couple paragraphs and I'm gonna describe what I think here. Attorneys for Tyler Robinson the man accused of shooting and killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk have asked for a preliminary hearing set in May to be delayed so they have more time to review evidence. In recent court filings, Robinson's defense team said an analysis from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives could not conclusively connect a bullet fragment recovered during the autopsy to the rifle they found in a wooded area shortly after the shooting. The attorney said that it may try to use the analysis to clear Robinson of blame during the preliminary hearing. On the prosecutor's side, they say DNA consistent with Robinson's was found on the trigger of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, and 2 unfired cartridges. Defense attorneys, however, said forensic reports indicate multiple people's DNA was found on some items, which they say requires a more complex analysis. And then they're seeking the DP back in court in April. Okay, here's what I think. I think that the bullet impacted Charlie Kirk in the neck. And it said it was recovered from his body, that it was a fragment. And I would guess it was a hollow point round. I would guess that it was so mangled and just a piece of the bullet. I think most of the bullet probably passed through and hit, the wall behind him and just disintegrated. So I don't think this is going to be something that is going to get Tyler Robinson off during the preliminary hearing. I think there's plenty of evidence that prosecutors can lay out that will make a judge go, yeah, we can go ahead and hold this over for court. But I mean, on the flip side, we've got defense attorneys that are strenuously and vigorously working to defend their client, which is what we want in our society. So yeah, good on them for doing that. I hope they try hard. And if Mr. Robinson is guilty, which I think he is, I hope that he is sent to prison for the rest of his life and maybe faces the needle, because I'm okay. I'm okay with the DP. I try to keep this out of. I know that this is a hot button subject, but I'm okay with it, especially in cases of murder and violent or sexual crimes against children. I'm all about it. Totally cool with it. All right, let's finish up with what you guys are saying over here. Let's see. Allison, welcome. Thank you for signing up to be a member. Really appreciate that. Lynn Taylor, Gavin, being 84 tired after a night out, could have just forgotten to lock. I guess it's possible. Sure. Then Allison sent 5 gift memberships. Allison, thank you very much. Barb says, Gavin, would being 84, I'm living alone, maybe be a reason for leaving a door unlocked? Perhaps she did it in case she needed to call 911 for rescue while home alone. That is also a terrific quibble. Yeah. I had not considered that. Black Widow saying, some of Wanda's arms are instruments. True story. Yes, indeed. Emmy says, Gavin, love herbal tea, but also Earl Grey and English breakfast. Interesting. Having spent many a morning in England and having been served many an English breakfast, I cannot say that I'm a fan. But I'm not really a breakfast person anyway. Chaos Mama says, Gavin, I don't like teas. Herbal tea is all I drink, but usually when I'm sick, but it's not my favorite. Yeah. Emmy loves Tetris and Monopoly. Chaos Mama loved Clue. Grew up playing card games like Skip Bo, Phase 10. What is it? Millborns and Rook. Yeah, Rook is fun too. Garth B. Nutt says, the last book I read was The New Evil by Gary Bricado. It's a great book. Thank you for that recommendation. Chaos Mama, I think Children of the Dust Bowl is the last book I read. I'm working on the Learning Zone. Very cool. Lee in Tennessee says, I highly recommend Bonhoeffer by Eric Metaxas. All right, thank you. Chaos Mama says, my sister named her cats after To Kill a Mockingbird characters. I think naming your cats after fictitious characters is a very good and responsible thing to do as a cat lover. I'm just saying. Mischievous Dragon says, I'm also reading books I skipped in school. The last book I read was The Great Brain by J.D. Fitzgerald. I too have Fahrenheit 451 on my shelf unread. Very good. Allison, I just finished a book about enterprise hardening of servers for RMF compliance. Very intriguing. Well, that's the kind of book that I typically read. Very good. Mischievous Dragon. I like unsweet iced tea. Orange Pico. We need to keep cool in Texas summers. Anything else you guys want me to read? Britt Black says, I'm getting dialysis right now and my blood pressure is crazy high. Well, let's get that blood pressure under control the best we can. I hope you're under the care of many, many doctors. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. We will be back tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on this very YouTube channel or on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Again, check out Spotify if you and follow me there. That really helps the show. And I'll tell you why. I'll for those of you who stick around to the end. YouTube, for true crime content like mine, they have a metric called revenue per mil, which means revenue per 1,000 views. Okay. In true crime, it's high compared to other niches. Like I've seen it on my channel as high as like $16, where the YouTube average is between 2 and 4. But what has happened recently is that RPM has gone way down to like 7 for me. Still, I can't complain about it, but it's gone way down. And then views went down as I had to travel and my technology didn't work for me. I need to figure that out. But and I think going to Tucson would help me figure that out. But anyway, over on Spotify, the RPM, the revenue per mil, is like $35. And so if you are a Spotify listener anyway, and you're on the rewatch crew anyway, head over there and do it there. It really, really helps me out. There are other ways that you can support me and my moderators as well. Of course, you can go to my website and click on the Support Me tab. And there's all sorts of ways that you can do that. Thank you to those of you who are sending me gifts via PayPal, via my tip jar, for the packages. Thank you to my patrons for the super chats and memberships that we have here on YouTube, and for watching the videos, for liking, subscribing. I deeply appreciate that. If you can, and if you feel you want to, buy Autumn a coffee, will you? That helps her out. And then always remember that if you click on this little icon right there, that will take you to the fish tank where we hang out on Facebook. You are always cordially invited to join us there. And with that shameless self-promotion, I shall bid you adieu. Thank you very much for spending your time with me tonight. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.